So what we mean when we say what our clients want is it's going to be probably different for every client, but in the end, what they all want is a birth that's aligned with their values. So whatever their values are, they want a birth that's aligned with that. Now, for Alicia and me, most of our clients, for them, that means that they want to be in charge. They want to call the shots. They want to make the decisions. They want to be fully informed and free from coercion. That's what most of our clients want. And often that means that they get the other things that are on their birth plan. So those little items on their birth plan actually kind of become the stage on which these values are played out. And so our goal with this tool we're going to share today is helping our clients create a birth plan that's aligned with their values, and then helping them prepare for a birth that is going to execute that well.
Beautiful. Okay, just trying to figure out, Carly. So let's talk about the realities of advocacy. The reality is, first of all, that we need to be honest with our clients about our own level of advocacy. Because the truth is that clients can't rely on us. Well, we can't rely on them to advocate for themselves, and they can't rely on us to be the sole advocate for them. But the truth is that we get to work together in this. For those of you who aren't there with advocacy yet or haven't gone there yet, you get to determine what level you are comfortable with, and you get to convey that clearly and definitively to your clients.
Yeah, so you'll sometimes hear someone say, "I don't advocate. I think that's not my place to speak for my client. They need to advocate for themselves." The reality is that that's not going to be possible. There are going to be times where your client is going to need you to advocate. And I used to be a doula who would be like, "Don't worry, I'm going to be there with you." And I wouldn't actually train my clients in advocacy. And the result was that a lot of it ended up on me. And that doesn't always look very good to hospital staff, because even though you know you're advocating for what your clients actually want, if they're not advocating for it as well, then it kind of looks like it's your agenda and not theirs. And that can affect your relationships for future births. Now, I will always put my relationships with my clients and I will always prioritize helping my client have a non-traumatic experience over the way that I'm perceived by staff. But I really do like to have good relationships there, and I like to have to be collegial and make sure everyone's understanding of what my role is. So that means that we've got to advocate together, and we've got to prepare our clients well for advocacy, and to know that advocacy is a team sport. And we have to acknowledge that our clients don't know the game, especially if they're a first-time parent. Honestly, most people have never learned what the realities of the birth room dynamic can be, what kind of options they will or won't be offered. And so we as doulas are poised to teach them this, and we need to do it in advance of game day. So what do you do if you're on a basketball team? How do you get ready for game day? You practice. So we're going to talk about how we practice with our clients today, because they need to know the technique. They need to know who the players are. They need to know what's allowed in this game and what's not allowed in this game. And no one's going to teach it to them if we don't. Otherwise, they're going to walk onto that court or into that birth room, and they're going to feel confused. They're going to feel maybe bullied, and they might feel a little defeated in the end. So let's talk about how we prepare everyone for a good game. But first, Alicia, you want to tell them about what's coming up?
Sure. And to that end, we are holding advocacy training in North Carolina in April 12th through 13th. And we're doing this because we want that birth workers need the tools to be confident advocates in the birth room, but there's no place to really go out there and find those tools. So Meredith and I together, we've put together all the tools that we've used and learned over the years, and we've put them together in this 2-day workshop where you get to come and be fed both literally and figuratively. We're going to teach you how to show up as an advocate so you can start stepping into that role. And so you can start teaching clients how to be advocates too. Because remember, it takes all three of you to do this successfully. It's really fun, you guys. We have our nurse friend come with us, and she gets to teach us what the inside of the hospital is like. And you know, if you've been to births, but she'll give us an extra scoop. Not only that, we're going to be teaching you about how to do this, how to execute this. So not only will we show you the tools, but we're going to practice them with you again and again until you have found the words and the confidence to actually go out there and do this thing.
It's going to be so much fun. So we'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. Okay, so the goal is to strike while the iron is cold. That means that in advance of game day, we get to learn our clients' values. We need to know what they are, otherwise, we can't advocate well for our clients. And when I say values, I mean things like I had a client last month who really, really valued autonomy, right? Actually, all of my clients value autonomy, but that for her was a big value. She did not want anyone making those decisions for her. That's a value. Personal responsibility is a value. It's one that we actually try to help instill in our clients. Because we believe that they're going to have more satisfying birth experiences if they take personal responsibility for their births. Another value might be physiology. Maybe your client really values honoring physiology. Maybe another client values technology and science and medicine. So we need to learn what our clients' values are so that we can implement this tool well. Then based on those values, we're going to build a birth plan with them. Now, this is a whole other class that I wish we had time to do it all today. We don't. That's why you come to the advocacy retreat, because we're going to have 2 full days together to talk about this stuff. Then we are not going to team them the tools. We are going to teach them the tools. Sorry for the typo there. So we need to teach them the advocacy tools. Now we have a whole stack of advocacy tools that we teach our clients and that we teach doulas. You as a doula can also come up with tools that you feel are really going to be important and helpful in your client's birth, in executing your client's birth plan. A tool can be anything from a phrase or a word. It can be an action. It can be a position. But to teach them the tools in advance that are going to help them get what they want is really important. And then finally, is practice. And this is the tool we're going to hone in on today, is how we practice with our clients. And we do it through role play. Number one tool to help your clients get what they want is role play with them prenatally in your prenatal visits. So Alicia, why do we do this?
We do this for so many reasons. This guy looks really mad, by the way, Mare.
He's pretending to be the mean doctor.
So well. We do this because our clients don't know what they're stepping into. And here's the reality. We are preparing them for the worst case scenario. And why do we do that? Because we want them to say to us after a birth, that was way better than you said it was going to be. That is a relief to me as a doula, rather than why didn't you tell me it was going to be like this? So we want them to understand kind of the inner workings of the hospital, the birth center, a home birth midwife. All of this applies to any birth setting. But we want them also to have the chance to speak the words. It's so powerful when you actually embody this advocacy role. You've got to play with it and do it over and over again. Practice makes progress. It doesn't make perfection, but it makes progress. So we want them to progress in this role as an advocate. And this is a role that's going to serve them for the rest of their lives, particularly in parenthood. So they get to learn it now, striking while the iron's cold, so that they can then use it in the hospital and then use it in the rest of their child's life and their own lives. Role playing is so powerful because you're saying the words, you're thinking on your feet, you're getting uncomfortable. And because you are going to be uncomfortable in a real life advocacy situation. So let them feel uncomfortable in this safe setting. Let them mess up the words in this safe setting.
Yeah, and go ahead, Alicia.
No, just that it's fun. There's so much laughter that comes out of this. It's a really good time with your clients.
Yeah, and I want to circle back to something Alicia said about preparing them for the worst, because a lot of doulas, I think, are scared of scaring their clients. They don't want to be honest with them about the realities of their birthplace because they don't want their client to be scared. And honestly, the result of that decision is often that the client is traumatized instead. So here's how I do it. Because I don't like scaring my clients either. And I also really like to be fair to the other professionals who are trying to do a good job and maybe don't know how, in this client's case, or maybe are just having a bad day. And so I prepare my clients for the worst case scenarios. And I tell them these are things that I've actually seen happen in your hospital, right? So that they know I'm not making this up. I'm not preparing, I'm not, this is real life. This is stuff that happens. And then I say, but I think we can go in anticipating the very best. We can anticipate that you're going to have a team that's supportive and loving and aligned, that they're going to give you respectful care, and that we're all going to be treated really well there, and that it's going to be a really wonderful, beautiful birth, right? So we're preparing for the worst and expecting the best. I don't want to say expecting. We're anticipating the best. And walking in with that attitude and that anticipation does bring out the best in people. There's always going to be the rogue jerk who just is not going to have the best dragged out of him or her. but most of the time people really do want to give you their best when you take a compassionate human approach. And that's one thing that we're going to talk a lot about in the retreat is how to walk in with that kind of expectation and bring it out of people. Okay, so it's role play time. And some of you are going to join us. So we love making people uncomfortable because, again, it's striking while the iron's cold. If you can get uncomfortable here, then you're going to be a little more comfortable there. So that's what training is all about. We're going to bring up 3 scenarios today that we like to run through with our clients prenatally. Obviously, if we could run through every scenario in the book with our clients, we would, but we don't have that much time with them. So in the few prenatals that we have in person, we're going to draw out a few key situations with them, and you can customize these for your clients based on what their needs are. But here's one scenario. This one's not really advocacy related, but it's a common one that we bring up to help dads get ready or partners get ready to support the mother when she has said that she wants an unmedicated birth. She wants to labor without the epidural. That's been her plan. She's trained for it. She's ready for that. And she is in transition and she's saying that I want the epidural. This is so hard. I can't do this. When will this be over? We're going to role play that with the dads. So first we're going to teach a tool. So we're in our prenatal visit. We teach the tool first, and then we role play with the tool. So they have that tool, they understand how to use it, and then they get to practice it. So Alicia, why don't you teach this tool?
Sure. So this is mar. If any of you are Spanish speakers, mar means ocean. And I like to think of the mom as an ocean wave. She's crashing on the shore, and her partner gets to be the shore, this kind of stable, steady ground that she can go ahead and crash into. Partner's not going anywhere. Partner believes in her no matter what. So MAR stands for mirror, affirm, and remind. So if a mom says, "This is so hard," her partner can say, "Yes, these surges are so strong." Partner is mirroring mom, hearing her, acknowledging her. We all want to be seen and heard. So the next step is to affirm mom. "This is such hard work. I am totally amazed by you." Look at that beautiful affirmation. Again, confirming this is so hard and you're incredible. And then the last step is to remind her, what in the world is she doing here anyway? What is all this for? Your partner can remind her your body is amazing and knows what to do. Here's the reminding her what she's doing. Every surge is bringing our baby closer. And then reminding her of partner's love. I'm right here. I won't leave your side. And this is such a powerful tool to teach to partners because what I've seen, particularly in dads, is that in those moments, they look at me like a deer in the headlights, like, "Oh no, our whole plan is thrown out the window. It's over." And what I want to tell them is, no, everything's good. This is okay. This is normal. So this is why preparing dads and partners ahead of time is so powerful. Again, striking while the iron's cold. because you're warning them, you're forewarning them. This is probably coming. I have yet to be at a birth when I have not heard something like this at some point in labor, maybe a couple births where mom was silent, but this is just a part of moving through transition or just moving through sometimes when a birth is long and difficult. So prepare a partner for that. And that takes so much out of the fear, out of hearing those words in that moment. So that when partner hears, I want the epidural, instead of like, I'll go get the anesthesiologist, instead partner says, whoa, okay, yep, I remember what to do. I'm going to be the shore. She's going to be the wave crashing on me, and walk through these steps.
Okay, we need a volunteer. Who is going to be? Okay, so Alicia and I are your doulas, and or actually maybe I'll be the doula, Alicia, you be the mom.
Sure.
And then we need a partner. Who's going to be Alicia's partner? You can put yourself on screen or raise your hand if you want to do this one.
Who's feeling
Stephanie,
brave?
you're the only person I can see because I'm sharing my screen. Do you want Stephanie Freeman? I'm calling you out.
Yes, Stephanie's
Do you,
bold. I know
do you want to
Stephanie.
be, do you want to be the partner? Okay. All
Sure.
right.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you, Stephanie.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm your doula. We're in a prenatal visit, and I have just taught you this tool. You know, sometimes Stephanie, even someone like Alicia who has prepared so well for this and wants it so deeply. I can tell Alicia, we've talked about how much you really want this unmedicated birth. Sometimes you kind of hit a wall in your labor. That's a hard one to jump over, and you will jump over it. You're going to find your groove again, and you're going to feel okay again. But when you're at that moment, you might say something like, I don't think I can do this anymore. I want the epidural. And so, Stephanie, you're going to need to respond in that moment and with this tool that we've just learned. So let's practice this together. You guys open to practicing this?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
do
let's
it.
just
Okay.
do it. This will be fun. We're going to practice this. Okay, so Alicia, you get to pretend like you're in deep labor. Why don't you come over here, lean over the ball, make some noise, and let Stephanie know that you are kind of hitting the end of your rope here.
Oh, this is so hard. I can't do this.
It is. It's hard. You can do this right here.
Mhm.
Great job, Stephanie. Okay, good job pretending to be a man in this situation. Um, good job. Okay, Stephanie, that was so good. You told her it is hard. You didn't forget to mirror what she was saying, and that's a really important step, Stephanie, because sometimes, I see dads want to fix it and say like or make it not true. Oh no, it's not hard. You can do this. You're tough. Push through before they say it is hard. And I think it's so how did it feel, Alicia, to hear her say it is hard?
So good. I wish Stephanie would do that every day in our regular life.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. We need to feel validated, especially when we are really truly working so hard and experiencing something so huge like birth. So I love that you said that. It is hard. Um, I want to give you one more chance, Stephanie, to think about how you could affirm her in that moment. What could you say to make her feel really strong and trusted? Because one thing that Alicia has told us is that she wants to feel trusted and strong in her birth. So, what could you say in that moment when after you've told her, yes, it is hard, how could you affirm her?
Well, I mean, I don't understand why, but she really wants to have this baby without these drugs. And I'm here to like support that. So, I've listened to you guys talk, and I think that I don't know, like, should I remind her that like this is what she wants? That this is like, I don't know. I mean, nobody in my family's ever done this before like this. So uh but this is how babies come out, right? This is how they come out. And so I could just tell her that like this is how it happens. This is what I do. This is what
Yeah,
your body's doing it.
Stephanie, that's
I
a
want
great
you
place
to
to
tell
start.
me, I want you to tell me how strong I am and how incredible I am.
Okay, that's helpful. I don't, because I can't find the words. Okay, honey, you are strong. You're the strongest person I've ever met. You've stayed with me this long. Um, you are strong. I mean, you can do this. You deal with my mom. You can have this baby.
I love it. Okay, great job,
That's
Stephanie.
funny.
Thanks for bringing the thanks for bringing the humor.
I love it.
Honestly, yeah, great job putting on that dad hat. Honestly, humor is a great tool in a situation like this. Like if Alicia heard, you know, her partner say that in labor, like you put up with me, you put up with my mom, I know you can do this. She'd probably laugh, right?
Yeah,
Maybe depends on really what's going on in her labor, but it really does help. It lightens the mood when everything's feeling kind of heavy and hard. So it's a great tool.
yeah.
Great job. Okay, so
Meredith,
sometimes
I
we
just
do, as in the prenatal role play, we do need to coach a little bit and ask people to try again. If it feels like they didn't quite say enough or say the right words, or maybe they said too many words, kind of give them a little feedback and invite them to do it a second time.
definitely. This is one of the phrases we love to use in Intentional Birth Pro, where we train doulas. We like to ask permission about offering feedback. So you can always say that. Are you open to feedback? And then wait for them to say yes. They're always going to say yes. And then go ahead and offer that feedback. Find something positive about what they just did. And then find a piece of feedback, a constructive piece of feedback that you can offer them so they can try it again and do it even better. And yeah, don't be afraid to stop them too, you guys. You're their coach. Coaches don't, if you are doing something wrong, they blow the whistle like, whoa, 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 no, back to the line, do it again. So you can do that with a lot of love and have a lot of fun in the process too. This is what I want to say, you guys, is I've laughed so hard that I've cried on many occasions when we're role playing. And it's so much fun. That not only does that bring you closer to the couple, but it brings them closer to one another. So just have a great time with it. Stephanie says, I often call this a crisis of confidence and normalize those moments. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Normalize the partner's experience of having a crisis of confidence too, of like, oh crap, do we really want to do this? Can she really do this?
Great. Let's move on to another scenario. This is another one that's really good to role play with your clients prenatally. And this is so actually the scenario to role play is any intervention that they're being offered that they weren't planning on. One of my favorite go-tos is someone comes in and offers to break their water because their labor is not moving along fast enough. So first time client, that's one I like to run through with them so that they can practice their tool. But here's another one that's a common one that comes up is you're going to be 41 weeks soon, so we need to get your induction on the calendar. So we're role playing with them, not just birth scenarios sometimes, but also prenatal scenarios. So the tools that we're going to teach them, we have a huge set of tools, so we're going to only just have time to cover a few today. But one tool that we would teach them is everyone's favorite brain tool. Alicia and I were joking today. We're like, you know, it feels so mundane almost to talk about brain, but it's like my trusty old Honda Accord that has 260,000 miles on it and is still going strong. It's a good tool. Um, so, and there are a few other tools that we like to go along with it. So we could just call this tool Get Meaningful Information. And the reason we hone in on the word meaningful is because often our clients are not being given meaningful information. They're being told, oh, your risk has gone way, way, way up for this because this has happened. Well, that's not meaningful information, right? I had a client recently who was told, you've been pushing so long, your risks have gone way up for hemorrhage. The way up doesn't mean anything, right? Tell me the numbers. How much more likely am I to have a hemorrhage now that I've been pushing for X number of hours? You know, that's the kind of information that's meaningful and that I want. Another question that could get more meaningful information is, how often have you seen that happen before? How often have you seen a normal birth end in a hemorrhage? And then they can tell you, oh, I see about this often. Another question that you can ask to get meaningful information is there anything wrong right now? Why are you recommending induction at 41 weeks? Is there something that you're seeing that makes you concerned about me or my baby? Or is this something you routinely recommend to all women at my stage of pregnancy? So finding out whether this is a routine recommendation versus a personalized recommendation can help you make an informed decision that's aligned with your values. So you all know Brain. I don't think we need to run through Brain right now. So we're going to say that we've just taught the Brain tool to our client, and now we are going to role play with them. So Alicia, do you want to be the doula? I'll be the mom, and then actually no, we'll just do doula because we'll just do doula and mom for this one. Chaya, you're one of the only people I can see. Do you want to be our guinea pig client? No, you do not. Okay. Any other volunteers? Okay, Ivy, do you want to do it?
Sure.
Go,
Awesome.
Ivy. Love it.
Just gotta figure it before it dies here.
Yes. Okay. So Mary, we're just talking about induction, is that right? Or
Yeah, you're the doula. You're Ivy's doula.
okay. So Ibby, I know that you're coming up on your 41-week visit, and it's very likely that you're going to be offered an induction when you go to that visit. So I'd love to practice with you how you are going to handle that so that when you come to that moment, you're going to feel confident and strong when you're talking to your OB.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, Abby, I'm going to play your doctor and you're going to play yourself. And I want you to go ahead and use this tool that we just learned about, this brain tool. So take your time, walk through the steps, and I'll be here to coach you through it too. So, okay, Ibby, I'm glad to see you in my office today. I know you're coming up on 41 weeks. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and schedule you for your induction right at that 41-week mark.
Oh, okay. I'm quite surprised by that.
Oh, really?
I wasn't expecting to do that today. Could you perhaps provide me with some more information about why that's necessary?
Absolutely. Yeah, we like to induce all of our patients by 41 weeks because after 41 weeks, your risk of stillbirth increases a great deal. And we want to help you avoid that. We want your baby to arrive healthy and safe. And so that's why we do induce all of our patients at 41 weeks.
Oh, I see. I would love some more information as to what my actual risks are. Like you said that my risks will increase significantly. How much do they increase?
Well, I don't know the numbers offhand, but I would say that your risk is going to basically double after 41 weeks, your risk of having a stillborn baby.
Okay. Are there, other than having potentially a stillborn baby, are there any other benefits of being induced early or at 41 weeks?
Really, yeah, we don't want your baby to get too big. Also, I know your blood sugar's been creeping up a little bit, and we've seen a couple of blood pressures on the higher end. If we can get your baby out sooner, we won't have to worry about those things.
Okay.
So that's part of it. I'm going to pause you right here, Ibby. And Ibby, as when you're in that office, you get to ask your doctor a really important question. I just gave you, as the OB, I gave you the relative risk. I said your risk of stillbirth essentially doubles after 41 weeks. But a really important question for you to ask is, what is the absolute risk? So that'll hone in on more pertinent information for you. Because how do you feel when you hear your risk of stillbirth doubles after 41 weeks?
Terrified. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds really scary. So that's wherever there's something scary, that's the place where you can dig in a little bit more and get more meaningful information. So yeah, go ahead and ask me about the absolute risk.
Okay. So my risk, I understand that my risk will double. Can you actually give me some numbers or some figures around that? I know that you couldn't give me a number off head, but what's the absolute risk of stillbirth happening?
I don't know the numbers. I think you'd have to look that up yourself. I'm not sure, but it's a large increase in risk.
If I don't get the induction, which I'll just be honest, I'm not keen on it based on the research I've done, what are some of my options? What options do I have? What are the alternatives to getting induced.
I mean, of course, you could go on being pregnant, but we're just going to revisit this same conversation at 42 weeks if you even get that far, because we definitely don't want you going beyond 42 weeks.
Thanks for the information. I'll think about what you said and I'll get back to you at our next visit.
Okay, thank you. Ivy, good. Good for just running through it, staying calm, asking the questions. That's exactly how you want to do it. The truth is, most OBs are not going to know those numbers offhand. So you are really going to have to dig into that yourself. And I'm going to send you to Evidence-Based Birth to look more closely at those numbers so that you can have a sense, or you can go to your intentional birth parent course where we run through all those numbers. So, Ivy, that was great. And I think, so if you were to walk away from this conversation, this is, okay, I'm going to pause and put on my Alicia hat again and just say that this is a perfect opportunity to segue with a client into how did all of this make you feel? Because these meaningful conversations also, they are clues to our providers' values, and they're an opportunity for us to see how aligned we are or how misaligned we are with our provider. So, Ibby, my question for you is, walking away from that visit, how do you feel about your alignment with your OB?
Not super aligned if my intention is to have a spontaneous birth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like your OB will be supportive of that?
No, not at all. It sounded like the OB was pretty, that an induction was inevitable one way or the other.
Yeah. And are you open to being induced at 41 or 42 weeks?
Not at 41 weeks. I personally would not be open to being induced at all. But if it was a hypothetical client, maybe they'd be open to being induced later on. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Not at 41 weeks. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
I like what you said about checking in with one's emotions and seeing what they say in terms of clues to check in with alignment. Yeah. Thank you. That was great.
Absolutely.
And that's something to be doing as early in the pregnancy as possible with our clients. So, if we can do a role play in our first visit with them even, and show them what it feels like to feel good after a visit, and then invite them after their visits coming up to assess how they feel afterwards. Because the earlier they find out they're not aligned, the better, right? And we can support them in finding someone who maybe is more aligned with them.
Mm-hmm.
Great job, Ibby. The absolute risk between 41 and 42 goes from 7 in 10,000 babies are stillborn to 17 in 10,000 babies are stillborn. So it does double. And for a lot of clients, those numbers are not going to sound alarming, and they will want to stick with their plan. So it's they get to assess their risk more clearly. Kaya asked what absolute risk means. So relative risk is your risk in relation to something else. So your risk at 41 weeks related to your risk at 42 weeks doubles, but the absolute numbers are that 7 in 10,000 becomes 17 in 10,000. So that's absolute risk. And it obviously makes it a lot easier to assess risk in that case, because how many babies at 41 weeks are not going to be stillborn? 9,983, right? Did I do the math right? Out of 10,000.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's go into another scenario here. Oh wait, first one more tool that we forgot to ask Ibby, which is, and this one's going to play out in the birth room more. So let's say that that midwife has come in and said, "Hey, I really recommend breaking your water at this point. I think that's going to help move things along, speed things up. You don't want to be doing this for another 12 hours. Let's just break the water." So maybe in that situation, Ibby's going to walk through those brain tools, kind of gather more information, and then she's going to ask the 3 golden questions. She's going to get herself in a private, quiet, safe space, maybe with her partner and or her doula, or maybe alone. She's going to put a hand on her heart and on her belly, and she's going to ask, "Am I okay? How am I doing? How's my baby doing?" She's already asked the midwife if there's any information about this. And then she asks, "What do I want? What do I want?" And if her answer is, I want to get this dang baby out and break the water and do whatever I need to do, then maybe that's her answer. And if her answer is, I just want to sleep right now, okay, go to sleep, baby. Right? That's what we're going to do here. So we teach our clients these questions, and when there is a hard situation that comes up in a birth, and we don't even know the answer, right? And we don't know what our client wants, and our client doesn't seem to know what they want. This is what we do. We get them in a safe space and we have them ask the 3 golden questions. And almost always, people are going to make their best decisions when they feel safe and when they have the chance to run through this process. And at the very least, they can remember back in that they had this moment to decide and didn't feel pressured in to doing something without a moment to breathe. So this is another tool we would teach in that situation. We just did this role play. Okay, scenario 3. Love this one. We cannot deliver this baby with you standing. You need to get on the bed now. Okay, so this client has just come to us and we know their birth plan. They actually don't want to birth in the bed. They're really hoping to birth on a birth stool or standing up or whatever, in the position of their choosing. Maybe they'll end up on the bed, but they don't want to feel like they have to birth there. So knowing that this is on this client's birth plan and knowing that they're birthing at hospital X, we know we've got to role play this with them because somebody is going to try and get them on the bed. So we are going to teach them 2 tools. We're actually teach them lots of tools, but these are the 2 we're pulling out for today. Alicia, do you want to teach these 2?
Yes, I'd love to. So humanizing the room. This is you looking at the staff in the hospital, the birth center, at home as human beings before you. So acknowledging their discomfort, remembering that maybe they've never seen this before. They've never seen anyone birth standing beside the bed. That seems dangerous. It seems uncomfortable. It seems like, why would you choose that when you have a perfectly good bed beside you? It just doesn't make sense to them. So you get to humanize the room by standing in their shoes for a minute and seeing the world through their eyes. So you could say something like, I know this is uncomfortable for you and not what you're used to. But this is what mom is planning and this is her desire. You could also kind of make light of it. Meredith talked about humor. Humor is a great way to disarm people. I know my birth plan is kind of weird, but this is what we want to do. And always, always bringing the gratitude. Thank you for your support. So acknowledging their discomfort. You're not wavering. You're not saying, I'm going to change my mind. You're just acknowledging their discomfort, restating what it is you want, and then ending in gratitude.
Yeah, this is really powerful, you guys, because sometimes they walk in that room and what you are doing to them looks like it's like from another planet because they are just not used to it. And maybe all you're doing is birthing on a birth stool, but it's not their training, it's not their experience, and it's weird. And so to just acknowledge that helps to kind of break the ice a little bit. So this is one great tool that you could use in this situation. I love what Lenka wrote. She said, this reminds me of a client of mine roaring, no, clear and straight. She stayed on the floor. Love it. No is a tool that we teach our clients. And actually, it's a tool we role play. It can be really hard for people to find their no. And some people have no problem with that. They're going to, this maybe Lenka's client needed no training. She was going to say no, no matter who tried what on her, right? But a lot of women have been conditioned to be very polite and to be taken advantage of and not to say no and not to take charge. So in our prenatals, we can just fire off sentences at them and they're required just to say no in response. And they get to say no. I'll say, do you want a vaginal exam right now? No. Can I touch you? No. Can I just rub your baby for a minute? No. And in the moment, they, if they don't mind, they can do those things. But it's just for them to find that no is so powerful, especially in the safety of their living room. And then maybe they'll have the muscle memory in a situation where they really don't want that baby to be touched to say no or stop or whatever that powerful word is that they can draw on.
Oprah says no is a complete sentence. That's all that a mother needs to say. And this is another tool that we love. Mary, why don't you walk us through it?
Okay, respectful confrontation comes from Joe Weston. You can see his website down there, and he has some wonderful tools for having a respectful confrontation. And confrontation doesn't have to mean people yelling at each other or arguing. What it means is that you have to, two people have a different perspective and they have to meet each other and stand strong, and you have to stand for what you really believe in that moment. Sometimes it's us as the doula doing this on behalf of a client, and sometimes it's the partner. We really want partners to be prepared to do this. And I want to share something that we should have said earlier, probably, which is that so often, I love the way a midwife, Wapio Bartlett, put it. Dads and partners are wallpaper. They're like wallpaper in the birth room. They're kind of pushed aside. They're not brought into the team. They're not involved. And because they're treated that way, they often don't realize that they can stand up for their partner or their wife, and that they can defend her. And so we get to help them find that power prenatally through role play, and let them know, like, you actually do have permission to stand up and speak on behalf of her and to restate her wishes and not let anyone touch her. Like, that is your right to defend her and protect her. And when they learn that, then they feel free to do that instead of themselves being traumatized in helplessness in the birth room. How many of you have ever felt completely helpless in a birth room before? And imagine if you're the dad or the partner feeling helpless while something's going down for their partner or their baby. How does that stay with them? How does that change them? So we get to help them understand that it doesn't have to be that way, and then to support them with tools. So respectful confrontation is one of those tools. Oftentimes, some partners need help kind of being brave, and others need help being less aggressive, right? This is a great tool for both of those things. So the first thing that he's going to do or she's going to do is pause and ground yourself. That means you're going to feel the ground beneath your feet. You're going to feel your feet making firm contact with the ground. You're going to take a second. Let's say the doctor has just come in, and honestly, all of our scenarios are real experiences. We have not made up a single one of them. At the advocacy retreat, we have a simulation book that's full of dozens and dozens of real life stories that we're going to play out together. Like, I wish we were making it up. We're not making it up. So doctor walks into the room kind of flustered and says, "Oh, whoa, we are not birthing on the birth stool. That is not happening today." And the mom says she doesn't want to move. So the partner's going to stand up, take 2 deep breaths, and this can take time, and it's okay. It's better than speaking before you're really ready. And he's going to imagine an invisible thread connecting him heart to heart with the doctor. And then he's going to make direct eye contact and say, "She's not moving. She's going to birth on the birth stool." The fewer words, the better. The fewer words, the more powerful each word is. And he's going to state or restate mom's wishes. Now, if there's time, then all the other stuff can happen, talking about risks and benefits or whatever the scenario is. But often there's not time. Like, this is a scenario, baby's crowning. Someone's trying to physically move mom off of the stool, and there's not time for more of the talk, right? This is a critical situation here. So this one can be used anytime you're either in a position where there's just no time left, or where mom has already gathered all the information and made a decision and people are still badgering her. This is that's a good time to use this tool. Okay, so your turn. We need a volunteer. Who's going to be our partner? I can't see hands or anything, so maybe someone can put in the chat if they are volunteering.
I can see Kathy and Camille. Would one of you be willing to jump in?
Sure, I can be the partner.
All right, Camille.
Hey, thanks, Camille.
Camille.
Alicia, do you want to be the mean doctor, or should I? By the way, we also play nice doctors. We don't only play mean doctors.
We do, but remember, we're trying to let them see what we've seen before. We're trying to let them know this does happen sometimes. We'd rather not have them be surprised. It's far worse to meet this and think, what? I had no idea. Mersey, do you want to go back to the previous slide so that
Mhm.
can
Oh,
follow?
sure. That will help you out, Camille.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm happy to be the doctor, Mary. I love
Okay.
this. This is real life many times over on this particular situation. So, okay. So I'm walking in the room and oh, okay. Meredith, you've got to get off that birth stool. I cannot do a delivery there.
I
You're on the
can't
bed.
move, and the baby's coming. I can't move.
Yeah, that's exactly why you need to move right now. We need to get you in that bed. We don't,
No, no.
yeah, okay, nurse, can you help me get her into the bed? And partner, can you give us a hand? We're going to need help. Just get your arm under.
I would actually just love to say that my partner would like to stay on the stool.
Okay, I can't assist in this delivery if she's on that stool.
I'm not moving. I'm not.
She won't move, so I think we're just going to have to see how things play out from this position.
Okay, I'm gonna try this. Good. Camille, you did so good.
But you know what I find so tricky about this? I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. Is the moment of entry, right?
Yes,
Like the busyness of the room
yes,
and the moment of entry as a doula also, actually.
yes. Camille, it is, I think the sooner the better is what I would say. Get grounded, get connected, and then jump in as soon as you can. And so that mom isn't having to listen to it too long, go on too long. Camille, I loved that you showed up. I could hear your pausing, and pausing is so powerful, because it's the opposite of reacting. You are instead, you're responding. You're not reacting, which is reactive feels very like, but so the pause is a pregnant pause. It's a good pause. But Camille, and I would love to hear you say instead of, I think she's going to say right here, how do those words I think sound to you? Strong, mushy?
Yeah, a bit wishy-washy.
Yeah, a little mushy. So, Camille, would you be willing to try that again with as few words as possible and stating them as strongly as possible? Okay, Camille, so I'm gonna come at you again with the whole, we'll do this again. So, oh wow. Okay, I see you're sitting on this chair on the floor. But that's not where babies are born. You need to get into the bed. So we'll go ahead and help you. We'll give you a hand. I know it's
No,
like,
no, I don't want to move. I can't move.
okay, I understand it's not comfortable. We're going to be really fast and get you into that bed. That is the safest, best place for your baby to be born.
My partner doesn't want to move.
Yep, I understand that, but she has to move.
No, I can't. I can't.
My partner won't move off the birth stool.
Okay, so she's not going to move.
It's the position she's most comfortable in right now.
Okay, so you want your baby to be born on the floor.
I'm hoping that somebody will catch her.
Camille, you catch my baby, Camille.
I'll be happy to catch the babies.
Perfect. Yes, that's so good, Camille. Absolutely. And I want you to know something too. So that was great. You came back at it, different words, short, concise. That's exactly right. And Camille, I want you to know you can be a broken record if you want to be a broken record. You literally don't even have to find new and interesting words. You could literally just say, she's not moving. She's not moving. She's not moving. And that is actually incredibly freeing because you don't have to dream up anything. Literally just restate her wishes is so, I like to say that this is my favorite tool for one of my favorite tools for this reason, because it's just I'm not saying in the execution it is hard when the emotions are high and you're being bold in that way. That's the difficult part. The simple part of this is just the repeat exactly what mom said.
Yeah.
So
And,
good.
and this is a real scenario we've seen. Alicia, I could see you taking on the persona of the doctor that you had charge into the room and under these same circumstances, who in the end just still grumbling, put on his gloves and caught the baby because they had no choice, right? So, uh, and one other thing to say about this is, um, okay, hold on. It was on the tip of my brain. Oh, Kaya asked, like, what if they're physically moving her against her will? Sometimes that's when we need to pull out a really powerful stop word. And then we can say more, right? So if someone's actually moving her, that's when you say stop, because people will stop if you say that. You say stop. And you don't have to yell it. You could actually say it quietly. Stop. Let's talk about this. She's just said she's not moving. We can't legally move her. Right? Something like that. So, but we do need to use, yeah. So Anne just brought up, if you touch her against her will, that's assault. That would be very strong language to use. Great language for a partner to use in that situation, or just say it's illegal for us to move her. It's illegal, right? You could say that with a smile on your face, but yeah. So sometimes we do need to pull out powerful language in a moment like that. Great job. I think one other important thing to say about all of this, we talked about how we're giving the partner an opportunity to step into his or her power and really show up for their partner. And that could change their marriage forever. Because when I heard Camille stand for what I wanted and stand up for me against an authority, and say, she's not moving. Did you hear her? And amplify my voice. Boy, I feel so much love and trust in Camille for doing that for me. Whereas if Camille had grabbed me and started to move me because the doctor told her to, how would that affect me and my relationship with her going forward? Would I feel trust in my partner after that? Would I feel like they had prioritized, would I feel like they had thrown me under the bus in that situation? Even if I feel a little like ambiguous about whether that was all necessary, I'm not going to feel that same trust that I do when instead she amplified my voice.
Yes. Maybe I saw your hand raised.
Yes, I just had a question about, I don't know if this is a tool you teach, and I don't know if this is kind of overstepping into personal space, but if someone was just to put a hand in like on someone's arm, because I think obviously touch can be very powerful. So if a doctor was kind of getting in there and scooping her off the birth stool, and my partner stepped in and just said, excuse me, right? Like in a respectful way. I don't know, like that could kind of bring up some more defensiveness, or it could be that moment potentially for the doctor to be like, oh, whoa, like someone's touching me now. And a boundary has been crossed here. In either direction, really. So I don't know if that's a tool you use. Just what are your thoughts about someone physically touching or just putting a hand kind of like, whoa, on a doctor or a nurse, whoever it is?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all in favor of that. I think a touch can do exactly what you're saying. It can bring us back into our body again and like, whoa, what am I doing here? And not only that, it's a reminder of like you're willing to put yourself forward physically to protect this mom. So I think it's a beautiful idea. We can also, I've certainly done the like, whoa, stop, put a hand in front of a nurse who's trying to reach and do something that mom doesn't want. And definitely we can put our bodies, if we need to, in front of a provider and between our, mom and the provider, if that's needed. It's a great role for partner to play, but yes, beautiful touch.
Yeah, we love that one. A gentle hand on top of a hand that's about to do something wrong
Mhm.
is totally appropriate. Okay, great job, you guys. Oh, I forgot to go to the role play slide. Okay, so a few other great scenarios to role play. We're almost done here. Firing the nurse or doctor. is a great one to role play. So if they get a nurse who's just not aligned to them with them, and she's just kind of sneering at their birth plan and making, whatever, she's making them uncomfortable, then we practice with the partner going out to the charge nurse and getting a different nurse. If you're on our email list, you might have seen Nick and Drew's story this week, and Nick shares how he took that to the next level and fired their doctor during their birth. So again, our clients, they get this little practice, and then it can blossom how it blossoms for them in the birth room scenarios. Another one that's really important to practice is presenting their birth plan at a prenatal visit. So you're going to go through their birth plan with them, and you're going to be the doctor who says, oh, you can't decline postpartum Pitocin. That's routine. We give that to everybody. And then they get to find the words for what they're going to say in that situation. And then if there's anything on their birth plan that they deeply want that goes against the grain in their place of birth, for some of us, that's absolutely every item on their birth plan. Hopefully not. Hopefully we've helped them find a provider that's really aligned with them. That's definitely an honesty conversation you've got to pull out with your clients if you find that their birth plan is completely misaligned with their birthplace. But if that's where we end up, then you want to pick some things off of that to role play. If dad's going to catch the baby, role play that. Have him practice that at home. Get your baby doll out and let him practice that, because otherwise he might not really feel ready to do that in the moment. Anything you want to add to that, Alicia?
Well, I think that you can literally turn anything into a role play, because it's just powerful and it's fun. And other things you can role play are warm compresses. If dad's planning to do that or partner's planning to do that, you can role play pushing. I loved doing this with clients, is helping them get on their back and literally go through all the motions of pushing. So pull their knees up to their shoulders and bear down while I count it as the nurse, and let them feel that way. But even better is if you get partner in that position. Let mom feel how that feels, and then let partner take a turn and see how that feels. And that can be so powerful, because suddenly when partners embodied that pushing mom, partner says, oh, hell no, I don't want her to do that if she doesn't want to do that. That's so uncomfortable. I can't imagine doing that for an hour or 2 hours or more. So help them feel the feelings. And I also think that there's truth that bubbles to the surface with these role plays, truth about themselves, truth about their partners, truth about their providers. And that's part of what's so important in this process. So let those truths come forward. Mom may discover that her partner really isn't going to be supportive in the way she hoped, and she's got to think about maybe inviting someone else. Partner may discover that he can do more than he ever dreamed, and maybe mom realizes that she doesn't want to be with this doctor after all, because the conversation we just played out in a role play is the same one that just happened in the last office visit. So there's a moment of reckoning that can happen with these role plays. And so see where it takes you, and let it be a segue into other important talks together.
Stephanie says, I don't know about touching a provider. Stephanie, how about this? If a provider's about to, and this happened to me, stick their hand into your client's vagina when your client has declined vaginal exams and your client's eyes are closed. And you have one option in that moment. Either you let it happen, or you put your hand on their hand and stop them, which is what I did in that moment. But let's say something like that's happening. Put your hand on their hand and say, you can't touch her without her consent. Because they'll get the picture, like, oh, I don't like that she's touching me. Wait a second. I can't touch her without her consent either, right? You're just calling them out, right, by touching them. Chaya asks, what are some scenarios of why a mom would birth in a place completely misaligned with her values? Unfortunately, there are reasons that this happens, but even a client who's planned a birth aligned in their values with their values may end up in a place that's not, if they're transferring from a home birth, for instance. So even with our home birth clients, it's good to review, how are you going to walk in there? What kinds of words are you going to say? How are you going to talk through your transfer plan when you arrive at the hospital? Kayla just brought that up. Planning a birth, center birth, had bleeding, which had her birth in a hospital. So again, even the best laid plans sometimes lead us to, or maybe you've got a fantastic provider and you're birthing in their hospital and they can't show up that day for some reason. So you're left with whoever's on the floor. So you thought you were aligned, you thought you were going to have this wonderful birth, and you ended up with a different team than you planned on. So we've got to role play these scenarios. Okay, we are going to invite you to come role play with us in North Carolina in April. We're going to do this for 2 days, you guys. We're going to teach you all of our tools and we're going to role play them with you. And you're going to try it again and again. And it sounds scary, but it is so fun. And you might cry and you will definitely laugh. And we're just going to have a good time. Some of that we're going to run through a lot of scenarios, all of the hard scenarios. We're going to talk through all of those things that you wish you could replay again and do over again as a doula. We're going to let you bring up those scenarios that you have, and then we're also going to walk you through our simulation book of dozens of scenarios that we've seen, like the ones that are written here. And what tools can you pull out to, hey baby, what tools can you pull out to stand strong, to feel confident, and to really be effective on behalf of your clients? And how can you teach your clients these tools so that they can be truly effective and stand strong during their birth? We're also going to teach you the tools to prevent most advocacy scenarios. Most of it is preventable. Like these showdowns, some of like the one we just talked about, most of them are preventable. They're not all preventable, but mostly they are. So we're going to teach you the tools for prevention. And that's about that prenatal work with our clients and getting them aligned with their birthplace. And then how do we craft that birth plan and use it in such a way that prevents most advocacy scenarios? But when the rubber meets the road, are we going to be ready for them? So that's what the advocacy retreat is going to be all about. You can screenshot that QR code there, and maybe Alicia, you could pop the link in the chat as well. And then we're just going to open it up for questions. You guys can, Alicia, do you have anything to add?
Just that it's so fun. So try it. We're going to invite you and challenge you at your next prenatal that you hold to choose one role play to do with clients, to just dip your toes in and try it out and see what you think and see what the response is that you get from your clients.
And if you feel shy about role playing, like if you're afraid that in your prenatal with your clients, you're not going to be able to find the right words and you don't want to stumble over your words, script it. Write out the script and bring that script with you so that you can feel confident doing it with your clients. And eventually you probably won't need that script anymore. Thanks for dropping that link in. Thank you, Tzipora.
Yeah, thanks.
Yasmin says, I had a situation where the epidural was not effective and my client got out of bed, so I supported her up as she went out of bed. The midwife said she would not assist with the birth unless the client got on the bed. Client got back on the bed and birthed on hands and knees. Not a comfortable situation, but I'm glad my client had me to support her. I'm so glad too. Thanks for being there for her, Yasmin. Stephanie, role play your role plays. Right. Have your husband be your client and you can practice doing your role plays at home before you go do them with your client. You can totally do that. Or your birth or get a doula friend and do it together. That's so fun. Do this in your community, you guys. Do a role play day together. Or invite us. We'll come do it in your community. You can host a advocacy retreat. Okay, any questions? I'm going to stop the screen share here.
Yeah, questions. And do you have any hesitation about role plays? And if so, what is it? Tell us. We'd love to talk you through it. What's on your minds, doulas? Lenka asks, what would be your response when the client is refused to be admitted without a vaginal exam? This is a good one, Lenka. This is one that we get into in the advocacy retreat, because this is a really specific tool to be aware of. But we want you to know that your client absolutely can be admitted without a vaginal exam, whether that's
Lenka, are you in the US? I feel like maybe Lenka's in Europe.
Ireland.
Oh, Ireland.
Nice.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I interrupted you, Alicia.
Oh no, that's it. I was just thinking about Lenka. We're coming to France, so come and join our retreat. You can come and find out the answer. But we just want you to know that all these scenarios have a solution. There really is an effective solution. So even though we won't get into it today, just know that there is.
And when? Oh, I don't know. We have to, Menon, we gotta get it. We gotta talk. It's coming.
It's coming. I'm gonna give you the answer, and it's gonna it's gonna happen probably this year if we finish everything up.
Okay, should be this year. Come to France, you guys. Um, okay, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I will say, Linka, that in the US, there's actually a law in place that requires hospitals to admit a woman in active labor and until and keep her there or transfer or provide appropriate transport until she's stabilized, which means that her placenta has been born. So she's protected by law in the United States. They actually legally can't turn her away if she's in active labor. But there are a lot of other tools you could pull out. I don't know what the laws are in Ireland. So we can talk through some other scenarios when we see you in France.
Look at this, Nicola and Lenka are going to connect. How great. They're both in
Yay!
the Netherlands. I love that. So
Other
yeah.
other questions about role playing, about some of the advocacy tools we talked about today?
Yeah, tell us about what landed for you. And also, like I said before, what challenged you? What's kind of new or scary or
I think for me, the scary part is projecting onto a couple that it's something they really wouldn't want to do.
Mm.
You know, that discomfort and that shutdown that happens when you mention role play.
Yes.
Some people find it exciting, but yeah, I think that Camille, that you just mentioned, you just talk about the elephant in the room. Say this is uncomfortable, right? Like I can tell it's uncomfortable to kind of act together, and it's uncomfortable to be in these situations in the hospital. And so you get to choose your discomfort. Would you rather feel more ready for that and feel more comfortable speaking in that setting? Or would you rather feel comfortable here and not role play together?
Nice. Yeah.
Probably their answer will be that they'd like to get uncomfortable now.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. That's great.
Yay, Natasha, she's going to be role playing tonight with some clients. Hooray, so glad you're doing that.
Yeah. What are you going to role play, Natasha? Oh, another cute kid. School must be out.
Other thoughts or questions on role playing or on any of the tools that we talked about today too? We have hard tools and we have soft tools. The soft tools are often sometimes the most effective, like in just setting the scene so that this stuff doesn't happen. And then we have the hard tools for those moments when someone is being assaulted or really not being heard. So we look forward to sharing more of that with you in future classes or at the retreat.
I just want to say that it really resonated with me when you talked about helping the partner step into their power and the long-term impacts of that. I think for all of us who work around birth, the tiny little adjustments that can happen at the beginning of something become so huge over time. And that's just an example. And it really moved me, actually.
Oh, Anne, we're so glad the reason we mention it is because we've seen those miraculous moments of a father stepping into that role, as Wapio puts it, as the guardian of the birth. And he has changed forever. The mom has changed forever. And obviously the life of that baby has changed forever. So it's beautiful. And it really is, even though it's a woman's rite of passage, in many ways, it's a partner's rite of passage too. And we want them to come through it feeling strong and ready for what's next.
We've also seen, I can think of 3 cases actually. One was my client, one was Alicia's, or one of your agency clients, and one was another doula trainees of ours, where the birth was the moment of clarity, where a woman realized she needed to leave her husband. And so that it can go both ways, right? This is a very vulnerable moment for both of them and for their marriage, and it could make it so much stronger and more beautiful than it ever has been, and it could do the opposite.
It's true. Lenka calls a partner the archangel. Love-
Yeah, I love that. Just picturing those like arms outstretched,
yes.
protecting and loving her.
It's beautiful. Great.
All
Well,
right, you guys. Well, it's been such a pleasure being with you. Go forth and role play. I hope that this has been helpful, and please follow up. Email us if you role play for your first time, or if you have a particularly good role play with a client. Email us, and we'd love to celebrate that with you, or help you work through something that's challenging. So, stay in touch.
all right, everyone.
Okay, we'll see you all in North Carolina in April, or in France.
Yay.
Bye, everyone.